Good morning. Welcome to the Parak of the week. We are going to study Pirke Avot together. Pirke Avot literally translates as chapters of the fathers. It's a section of the Mishnah, which is the first part of the Talmud, and Pirke Avot is a collection of 6 chapters of ethical aphorisms, teachings reflecting wise guidance from approximately the year 200 BCE through 200 CE. In Jewish tradition, we tend to say BCE, before the Common Era, and CE, of the Common Era, rather than BC and AD. Let's look at the first teaching in Pirke Avot. Pirke Avot 1:1. Moses received Torah from Sinai. He transmitted it to Joshua, and Joshua to the elders, and the elders to the prophets, and the prophets transmitted it to the men of the great assembly. There were only men at that time. They said 3 things: be deliberate in judgment, raise up many students, and make a fence for the Torah. The transmission of the tradition is an important value. We see the chain of learning and teaching from Moses even into our current generation. So we are part of this ongoing learning for thousands of years. They said 3 things: be deliberate in judgment. Justice is a fundamental value in Jewish tradition. Justice cannot be rushed. This teaching was addressed to actual judges, and yet it is also a warning to us who may not be serving as judges in court, but warning us to cultivate patience and kindness and humility, to not always assume that we know what the right judgment is. We also need to be deliberate when we judge ourselves and be honest about our own frailties. Raise up many students. The rabbis were, of course, concerned about ongoing Jewish learning. Teachers and students sharpen each other's thinking. The more students we have, the more opportunity for the tradition to survive and to thrive. It's so important for each of us to be open to learning in every single situation. Make a fence for the Torah, in Hebrew, siag. Siag means that in order to protect a specific principle, we enhance the protection. We establish a fence around that principle. As an example, we don't spend money on Shabbat, so the fence becomes don't touch money on Shabbat, and then for sure you won't spend any. And the goal, like the previous teaching, is to protect the tradition. The challenge is that as the fence is moved further and further out, it becomes easier to mistake the fence for the essential principle we are trying to protect. The Reform Jewish critique of orthodoxy is mistaking the fence for the essence. And the Orthodox critique of Reform is that it is too easy to dismiss the essential mitzvah. So finding that balance is critical. We each know our own strengths and our own limitations, so we each need to be aware of where we need to protect ourselves from temptation. Shavua Tov, and see you next week for Pirke Avot 1:2.